Okay, hi everyone. I hope everyone can hear me. If you can, please reply yes or no in the chat box. Okay, perfect. So my name is Vaishali and I am the assistant editor at CA Club India. I welcome you all to today's session. So today we are going to talk about a very interesting topic, that is faceless assessment under income tax. The scheme was for the very first time announced in the Union Budget 2019 by the Finance Minister, but it was rolled out in a phased manner. And recently, the Prime Minister of India announced the final phase of the scheme. He said that the income tax has now become transparent with the introduction of faceless assessment, taxpayers charter, and faceless appeal. So it is being said that the scheme will bring a paradigm shift in the way the assessments are conducted in income tax. Ever since the scheme has been announced, there have been various questions from taxpayers as well as tax practitioners about how the scheme will bring about a change in the way assessments are done in income tax, if it is going to impact the job of the tax officials, if it is going to curb corruption, and many more. So today we have a very special guest with us, CA Gauri Chadda, who will join us in few minutes. So to give you guys a brief introduction about Gauri, she's a qualified chartered accountant as well as lawyer. She also holds a diploma in management from IIM Ahmedabad, and you must have seen her in various news channels before, giving her analysis about the recent topics in income tax. And currently, she is working as a practicing chartered accountant, running her own firm based out in Delhi. Just to add on, this will be a speaker session, which will also be followed by a query session. So in case you guys have any doubts regarding faceless assessment, we'll have a 15-minute span towards the end of the session. You guys can post your queries, all the queries that you have on faceless assessment in the last 15 minutes window. So I'd request Gauri to turn on her camera and lead the session.
Thank you, Vishali, for the wonderful uh, introduction. So I welcome you all on this webinar organized by CA Club India. So without wasting any further time, we will just come straight to the topic. So now, as you all know, that recently on 13th of August, the government of India notified this faceless assessment, faceless appeals, and the taxpayers charter. Now, where was the need of this? Now, if you all know, maybe the people who have joined us are not very old, they are young chartered accountants or maybe students. So maybe they're not aware that if we talk about 15 years ago, what used to happen? You know, everything was manual. TDS return filing was manual, income tax return filing was manual. Gradually they shifted income tax return filing, TDS return filing to online system. Then the TDS matching became online. 26 AS came in. Refunds were granted on a faster mode, and the process got simpler. Now, continuing with that, everything is now going online. And of course, I'm very sure everyone of you who are into articleship or into practice or into job or anything, you know that when we go to the department, what happens, what harassment is there, and what all happens there. So just to avoid all that, just to curb those practices, the government has brought in this faceless assessment. Now, one question which I am getting from quite a few students and my colleagues is that when e-assessment was launched, then where was the need of getting faceless assessment? What's the difference? So to begin with, I'll tell you what's the difference between e-assessment and faceless assessment. So in e-assessment, everything was online. That is perfectly fine. As it says e-assessment. E-assessment means everything is online. You don't have to physically, personally go to the department, deal with the income tax officer or commissioner or anything. But the jurisdiction was there, which means that you will go to the assessing officer, which is under your jurisdiction. You might know the assessing officer also. Secondly, what was happening was that only a single assessing officer was handling the case. You were representing your case to a single assessing officer. But now in faceless assessment, the things are a little different. Now the concept of jurisdiction is no more there. This means that if you are in Delhi, you are staying in, say, Connaught Place, but your jurisdiction can be in Bombay, it can be in Pune, it can be in Chennai, it can be anywhere in India. So you will not know who is handling your case, and moreover, not only a single person will not handle your case. The case will be handled by different departments. So we will see in the presentation what are the different departments and everything. So basically, the National E-Assessment Center is there, where the National E-Assessment Center will basically coordinate with you, deal with you, and later on they will assign the task to the assessment unit. The assessment unit will take the help of verification unit, review unit, and the other units. Now, what will happen is that you will not deal with a single person. So the corruption will, concept of corruption will go, which is what I think so. But of course, there are disadvantages as well, because with this, if someone is not very good in drafting, who's not very good with law. So I know quite a few CAs who do licensing and everything, but now with the introduction of faceless assessment, they know that they have to read the law thoroughly, and they need to improve their drafting skills. Earlier, drafting skills were not that important. So I am quite sure that all the viewers are chartered accountants or CA students. So for you, it is high time that you start concentrating on the drafting skills, communicating skills, as well as the knowledge of law in depth. Otherwise, this time is, the concept is survival of the fittest. The fittest will survive and the others will be out of the profession. So it's high time you start focusing on all these points. Now I'll just share the presentation with you. So I hope you all can see the presentation. Now, this is Income Tax Reforms 2020, which is faceless assessment, faceless appeal, and taxpayers charter. So the main motive is to make it faceless, fair, fearless, and this is, of course, PM's big new push for the tax reforms. Now, if you'll see, on 13th of August, our Honorable Prime Minister tweeted this, that our aim is to make the tax system seamless, painless, faceless. In order to achieve that, key reforms have been introduced. Now, what do you mean by this tweet? This means that existing system is not seamless, it is not painless, and it is not faceless. Of course, faceless, it was not faceless, but we thought that it is painless. But now even the government has realized that it is not painless. It is quite painful for the SSCs as well as the ARs at times. Then our Honorable Prime Minister tweeted that as far as the system is concerned, we have decreased complexity, decreased taxes, decreased litigation, increased transparency, increased tax compliance, and increased trust on the taxpayer. Now, again, from this tweet, again, I take out the point that he agrees, he accepts that right now there were complexities, there were high taxes, high litigation, less transparency, quite a few tax compliances, and the trust on the taxpayer was not there. Then Nirmala Sitharaman tweeted that any communication from the income tax department without a computer generated DIN, be it a notice, letter, order, summon, or any other correspondence, will be invalid and shall not be honest in the eyes of law. Now, what is DIN? You must have seen this concept last year, that is document identification number. Every communication from the department has this DIN. If the DIN is not there, if the notice or letter or order or summon is signed manually, then you can ignore that notice. That notice has no legal validity. So if you receive any communication from the department without this DIN number, you can completely ignore it. No one can challenge you on that. because it has been made mandatory. Then Nirmala Sitharaman ji tweeted that the taxpayers charters is a historic document laying out the various commitments made to the taxpayers. We'll discuss the commitments there. There are 14 commitments and we'll discuss those. Now, you know that Prime Minister Narendra Modi said honoring the honest. Now, faceless assessment and taxpayers charter will be enforced from 13th August itself, whereas faceless appeal will be available from 25th September. Now, what will be the benefits of faceless assessment? First of all, ease of compliance for taxpayers. Why ease of compliance? Because everything will be online. You don't have to go to the department personally and arrange for the documents, but at the same time, I somehow feel it may not be that easy also, because there are few chartered accountants, I'll say the senior chartered accountants who are not very tech savvy, who may not like the idea of scanning the documents or online submitting the documents or the compliances which are completely online now. They may still prefer going to the department even though there is harassment in the department. Now, another benefit is no human interference. Now, transparency and efficiency will increase. Functional specialization will be there. And why functional specialization, we'll understand in the coming slides, because in functional specialization, we have made units, different units, and each unit will perform only the task given to that unit. It will not be like something which was going on e-assessment. Then the cases will be disposed of very fast, quickly. Now, what are the features? Now, see, the earlier system was that the cases are selected on the basis of CAS, CASS, or there were manual selection of cases as well. But now the cases can be selected only using data analytics and artificial intelligence. This means that the manual selection will be avoided now. There will be no manual selection. Plus, the system has abolished territorial jurisdiction, which I have already mentioned, that now there will be no jurisdiction. The concept of jurisdiction has been abolished. Now, if you are in Delhi and your case comes under scrutiny, your assessing officer may be there in some other city. It is not necessary that he or she will be in the same city. Now, it's written a taxpayer may belong to a particular city, but the assessment order, review and finalization will take place in different states. In fact, by saying that particular city, but the assessment order, review order and finalization will take place in different states means that assessment will be taken place in one city, review will be taken out in another city, and finalization will be done in another city. So every task, every stage will be performed by different officers in different cities. Now, cases will be automatically allotted on a random basis, and central issuance of notice with DIN. Again, we have discussed this concept of DIN. Now, there will be no need for the taxpayer to visit the income tax office or officer. Now, there is no need to bribe the officers, bribe the peons there, bribe the guards in the department. So the concept of bribery will gradually go away now. And we are hoping, I wish that this system is implemented with full force, and the CS cooperate, the SSCs cooperate, and the assessing officers cooperate. Only then this can be a success. So we are hoping for the best, and this will be a big relief for everybody, because we don't have to visit the income tax department. There is no need to see the face of the income tax department and get harassed. The appellate decision will be team-based and reviewed, of course. Now, all communications will be electronic for authentication. No notice will be issued without digital signatures and DIN. Now, DIN we have discussed. Now, another concept is digital signatures. All the communications will have digital signatures as well. So, if the notice is manually signed and stamped, notice will be considered invalid. So, you can totally ignore that notice. There is no need to reply to that notice. No one can challenge you on that. Then now SSC's reply also will be digitally signed. So if it's a corporate SSC or a SSC whose tax audit it needs to be done, so DSC will be mandatory. There is no other option to upload the documents and reply to the assessing officer. But if it's not a corporate client, it is not a tax audit SSC, then you can use EVC as well. EVC is easier option, I would say. So you can go for EVC, and if you have DSCs of the client, then even DSC is fine. So you will have both the options in short. So now if you will see the e-assessment ecosystem, National E-Assessment Center is the main, which is located in Delhi. Now all your communication will be done through National E-Assessment Center. You will never ever coordinate or deal with the regional E-Assessment centers. Now the National E-Assessment Center will deal with regional E-Assessment Center, but you will not deal with regional e-assessment centers. Now regional e-assessment centers can be in different states. It can be Delhi, Pune, Mumbai, Bengaluru, Chennai, Kolkata, Hyderabad, Ahmedabad, and these will comprise of different assessment units, technical units, review units, and verification units. So basically I will understand how it works through a flow chart, and this will give you a clear picture. Now, this I've already told you that earlier cases were picked up for scrutiny through risk-based assessment or fewer by manual selection. Now, no more manual selection will be done, and only risk-based assessment will be done. Now, what is assessment unit? Assessment unit is the main unit which will assess your case. It will determine any liability arising on you. It will seek information from other departments. It will basically understand your case and take out the points of concern. So it has written identification of points or issues material for the determination of any liability, including refund under the Act. Seeking information or clarification on points or issues so identified. So information seeking will be done through other unit. Assessment unit will not seek information. Now, analysis of the material furnished by the SSC or any other person and such other functions as may be required for the purpose of making assessment. Now comes verification unit. Now, assessment unit will approach the verification unit and request verification unit to do inquiry, cross verification, examination of books of accounts, examination of witnesses and recording of statements, such other functions as may be required for the purpose of verification. Now, verification unit will not deal with the SSC directly. Verification unit will deal with the SSC via National E-Assessment Center. The same is the case with the technical unit. Now, say if the assessment unit is not able to understand few things, the accounting is quite difficult to understand for them, or some technology related issue is there. So the assessment unit will contact technical unit, and technical unit will provide all assistance and advice on the basis of the queries raised, which can be legal, accounting, forensic, information technology, evaluation, audit, transfer pricing, data analytics, management. Now comes the review unit. Any case will not, no case basically will be finalized without giving it to the review unit. So the review unit will review all the cases. Now, according to me, the things will get bit complicated also, because now review unit will review all the cases, assessment unit will assess all the cases. Right now only single person used to deal with the whole case. They used to assess, technical was also with them, verification was with them, review was with them. So it takes less time. You are going through a case from the beginning to the end. Now in this case, I think the pressure on the assessing officers will increase. However, there are chances that the transfers might not take place, because now there is no jurisdiction and there is no manual contact. So the transfers of the assessing officers may not take place, but otherwise I think it will be a bit difficult for the assessing officers to deal with all the cases. Now, what will review unit do? Review of draft assessment order, including checking whether relevant and material evidence has been brought on record, whether relevant points of the fact and law have been duly incorporated in the draft order, whether issues on which addition disallowance should be made have been discussed in draft order, whether applicable judicial decisions have been considered and dealt with in draft order, checking for any arithmetical correctness or modifications proposed. So of course, when the review unit is reviewing, it will review all this. Now, National E-Assessment Center will directly allocate cases for technical review, assessment and verification units through automatic allocation system. Now, what does this mean? This means that the National E-Assessment Center also does not have any as such authority to allocate the case to any particular unit. It will all be automated. So manual intervention, manual decision making is at minimum. National E-Assessment Center being the main center, even then it is not, they don't have the authority of allotting the cases on their own to technical review or assessment or verification. So this all this system will be automated. Now exceptions to faceless assessment. So there are few cases where the faceless assessment may not be taken place. Now the cases are when of serious frauds, major tax evasion, sensitive and search matters. The system also excludes international taxation and black money and benami property. So these are the cases which will not be taken up upon faceless assessment. This will go on the way it is going right now. Now, faceless appeal is also based on the same concept. Appeals to be randomly allotted to any officer in the country. Identification of officer deciding appeal will remain unknown. Exactly like faceless assessments. Faceless assessments are for section 143(3) and section 144, that is ex parte, which means if you don't reply to the notice, the assessing officer will do a best judgment assessment according to them, which is under section 144. Because see, in faceless system, there are chances of you not replying, you have not received the notice, and then people can think that, okay, we'll not reply, then we'll see what will happen, we'll go for manual this thing. But the government doesn't allow that. If you don't reply on faceless assessment, they will do ex parte, that is best judgment. Now in faceless appeal, taxpayer will not be required to visit the income tax department or officer. The appellate decision will be team-based and reviewed. Now again, the same exceptions are there. Serious frauds, major tax evasion, sensitive and search matters. The system also excludes international taxation and black money, benami property. Now, what is taxpayer's charter? Taxpayer's charter is that right to be treated with fairness and impartiality. Second right is right to be treated as honest and tax compliant. Now, what I've written is, now, along with saying that there is a right to be treated as honest and tax compliant, the government at the same time is getting some measures to make sure that the assessee is tax compliant and honest. They are not leaving any stone unturned. The recent changes SFT, that is statement of financial transactions. Now bills like hotel bills, insurance premium, foreign travel, business class travel, property tax, payment of education fee, etc. will be reported. And earlier also, if you're aware, high value transactions were being reported already. So this is in addition to that. So now even if you're making a single payment to anybody, now it is being reported. If it is of substantial, I won't say even substantial, it has some involvement of some amount, because 20,000, 50,000, I don't think so that it is a substantial amount. But now the department is saying that now when we are trusting you so much, we cannot trust everybody. So we need to make sure that the people have no option of evading taxes. So all these transactions are now notified. Now the other expenditures and investments which were already covered were like investment in shares, mutual funds, purchase of property, etc. and FD, and I mean few transactions like that were already there. Now, taxpayers' charters also says right for certainty, right for assistance and information from tax department, right to pay no more than correct amount of tax, right not to be subject to retrospective transaction, right to minimize compliance cost. Of course, they are agreeing that all this was there, right to be advised and represented by any person on taxation matter. Now, what I believe is that if there was a need of getting taxpayers' charter, and mentioning these 14 points means that the government accepts that all this was not happening, all this was not there. Now, another taxpayers charters point is right to appeal, right to privacy and confidentiality of information we hold about you, right to know what information we hold about you, right for the licit arrangement for your tax officers that minimize liability, right to request a payment plan, right to complain about our service. And there's a taxpayers cell also where you can go and register your complaint. Now, taxpayers charter obligation to be honest. These are the obligations put upon the taxpayers. Now, of course, government is giving you so much, so now government accepts something, expects something from you also. So you have to be honest. You have to be compliant and cooperate when you deal with the tax department. You have to keep proper records in accordance with the law. You have to file proper and complete tax documents and effect payment by the statutory dues. You have to inform the tax department about changes in the circumstances, and you obligation to know your tax responsibilities and the consequences for non-compliance. So all this is the responsibility of the taxpayer as per the taxpayer's charter. Commitment to taxpayers is to provide fair, courteous, and reasonable treatment. And I think this will happen anyways because there is no manual intervention. Now, treat taxpayer as honest, to provide a mechanism for appeal and review, to provide complete and accurate information, to provide timely decisions, to collect the correct amount of tax, to respect privacy of taxpayers. Now, again, these are the commitments to the taxpayers. Now, how will it work? We'll understand with the flow chart first, and then I'll read this out. So it will start with the National E-Assessment Center. So National E-Assessment Center will issue notice. When the National E-Assessment Center will issue the notice, the assessee will have to respond in 15 days. Or if they don't have a response, they can seek adjournment. But this has to be done in 15 days. Now, when the assessee will respond to the National E-Assessment Center, the National E-Assessment Center will allot a case to the assessment unit, which will be on automated mode. This will not be manually selected. It will be all automated. Now, assessment unit will take the help of technical unit and verification unit. Wherever they need, they'll take the help of technical unit and verification unit. Then they will issue the draft order. When the draft order is issued, this will be intimated to the National E-Assessment Center plus intimation of initiation of penalty. Now, there can be two cases. Either this order can be nil order or this order can be a demand order. Now, suppose these draft orders have been sent. Now, what will happen? These orders will go to the review unit. Now, few cases will go to the review unit, few cases will remain. Now, if we see few cases which are selected for review, okay, on the right hand side, few cases out of these cases which were selected for review, few will be confirmed that okay, this is fine, this is whatever the assessment unit has written, it is fine, and they confirm that case. In that case, now the review unit will inform the National E-Assessment Center. Now, what if that the review unit finds some discrepancy? They say that no, the order given by the draft order given by the assessment unit is not correct. There are some problems in that. So again, it will inform to National E-Assessment Center, and then National E-Assessment Center will assign the same case to another assessment unit. Suppose again that modification comes, again it says no, there is some discrepancy, then the assessee can demand a personal hearing. Only in this case, the assessee can demand a personal hearing after the department issues a show cause notice. Without show cause notice, there can be no personal hearing. Now let's just come to the left hand side, the cases which were remaining. The remaining cases means the cases which were not sent to review unit. Now in remaining cases, it will be informed to the National E-Assessment Center. National E-Assessment Center will send the order. One case will be that it is a nil order, case is fine, done, over. Now if the order is of demand order, then again there will be a show cause notice, and after show cause notice, the assessee can demand a personal hearing. Now, what do I mean by the personal hearing? Personal hearing does not mean that you will visit the department. Personal hearing means it will be online, like we are talking on Zoom. But here we can see each other. In personal hearing, what I have read and understood is, I may be wrong in this point because right now the everything is not put in place, so we will understand all these things when we deal with a few cases. But what I have understood is that the assessee will not see the face of the assessing officer, that will be blurred. But the assessing officer can see the face of the assessee. Now, what is the reason for that? The reason is that, see, when we go for a personal hearing, when we talk about anything, our facial expressions, our body language says a lot. Now, if the assessing officer asks me, how have you claimed this? And I get nervous, so he will know at that very second that I was lying, we have done some blunder, we have done some mistake, we have tried to evade taxes. So this happens, and this was a major concern which I had also raised, that without personal hearing, without seeing the SSC, the income tax officer may not get to know everything about him. A lot, the body language and facial expressions tell a lot. So I think this problem will be solved with this thing. Now I'll just read it out quickly. So taxpayers selected for scrutiny to receive notices over email and on their registered email IDs and their accounts created on the income tax e-filing portal. This is very simple. They will send the email on registered email ID and also SMS alerts on your registered mobile number through National E-Assessment Center. I told you that you have to reply to the notice within 15 days. Any communication notice shall have DIN. If it doesn't have DIN, you don't need to reply. On receipt or response from the taxpayer, National E-Assessment Center to allocate the matter to assessing unit or assessment unit, or any one regional E-Assessment Center via automated allocation system. Assessment unit will make a request to National Center for obtaining further information, documents, evidence from SSC or any other person, conducting of certain inquiry or verification by verification unit, seeking technical assistance from technical unit. All routing would be done through any AC, as I told you already. No direct communication amongst units of the regional E-Assessment Center. Now, where SSC fails to comply with notices, including section 142(1) or 142(2)(2)(a), National E-Assessment Center may issue show cause notice to assess him under section 144, that is ex parte best judgment assessment, when you don't reply to the notice. On failure to reply to such show cause notice, National E-Assessment Center to intimate regional assessment unit, draft assessment order to be sent to the regional assessment unit to National E-Assessment Center, assessment unit to also provide details of the penalty proceedings to be initiated therein. We had seen this in the flowchart also. Now, National E-Assessment Center will examine the draft assessment order in accordance with the risk management strategy specified by CBDT, including the way of an automated examination tool, to finalize assessment as per the draft assessment order, to serve a copy of order, etc. to SSC, or provide opportunity to SSC where modification is proposed by serving show cause notice as to why assessment should not be completed as per the draft order, or assign draft assessment order to review a unit in any one regional E-Assessment Center through automated allocation system to review the draft assessment order. Now, on receiving the review order to National E-Assessment Center to finalize assessment as per the draft assessment order and serve a copy of order to the SSC, provide opportunity to SSC where modification is proposed by serving show cause notice, and now the SSC can demand a personal hearing when the show cause notice has been issued. Upon receiving suggestions for modification from review unit, this is National E-Assessment Center, will assign the case to assessment unit other than that assessment unit which has made the draft, which means that some other assessment unit which will assess it on a fresh basis through automated allocation system. The National E-Assessment Center will not do any manual allocation. The new assessment unit shall, after considering the modifications suggested by the review unit, send the final draft assessment order to National E-Assessment Center. On receiving the final draft assessment order, NEAC, to finalize assessment as per the draft assessment order and serve a copy of such order, etc. to SSC, or provide opportunity to SSC where modification is proposed by serving show cause notice as to why assessment should not be completed as per draft order. Now, response is submitted by taxpayer on show cause notice shall be sent to National Center, and if no response is received, National Center would finalize the order as per the draft order. So I think we have understood the main process. Now, this flowchart we have already done. Now let's come to survey. So the concept of survey has been changed. Now survey, the power of conducting surveys is basically with the government. Now I see disadvantages of this as well. Now what will happen is, now the surveys will be conducted only if the investigation wing demands a survey or TDS wing demands a survey. So basically you can say that the government is finalizing on where the survey needs to be conducted. Now, the personal bias can come into picture. Secondly, what I feel is that mainly people are scared of surveys, and that is why they pay their tax on time and they pay their tax as per the liability, which is the actual liability. Now, if they know that there is no survey power with the other departments and it is only with the investigation wing and TDS wing, which will be always it will be on a very high scale. So they might not pay taxes as per the law and they might evade taxes. This is what I feel. I may be wrong. Maybe it's a very good decision, but this is what I feel. Now, what are the issues by the department? For the department, the storage of data will be a very big problem. Now, they need a very secured and robust data servers. Then internet bandwidth. So even if I'm not sure if my voice is that clear, and maybe if all the participants switch on the video or they start talking to me, their voice will be clear. So right now in India, I don't think so that the internet bandwidth is very good with everybody. So this is a problem which even the department will face, even the SSCs will face. Now, availability and development of facilities to support video conferencing and or video telephony. Now, again, in this, I believe few chartered accountants who are not very tech savvy will face problems, and I really wish that they start accepting this change. They start getting more friendly with the computers and laptops, and also everyone present here improves the drafting capabilities. Now, capability of handling bulk submission online and resolving real-time technical glitches, development of system for automated allocation of cases to regional e-assessment centers, and adequate training. So training, I am sure that the department must have started imparting training, though we are not sure, but I'm very sure if not now, they will soon start the trainings. Now, issues with the SSCs. For SSC, the necessity to keep address, email ID, mobile number updated in the income tax base. I don't think so. It is a very big issue. We can do it. But if it is not done, then you will face issues. So just go back, do it for all your clients immediately. Update all the address, mobile number, and in the income tax database. A lot of time and cost may be consumed in digitalizing the physical data. Of course, you will have to scan everything, sign everything. This will be a very, very, very big hassle for everybody. Now, when we'll begin with dealing with this, then we'll understand the total, what it is taking. Now, hardships faced on account of technical glitches due to lack of appropriate IT infrastructure, ability to differentiate between genuine communication received from department vis-a-vis fake communication, basic understanding of operation of this scheme. Now, what are the advantages and disadvantages? So it will save time and money of the AR, that is authorized representative. You will not face the mood swings of the AOs. Assessment order records will be available. Change of satisfaction mode, whose satisfaction now in a national e-assessment center or assessment unit or officer or assessment unit. AO did not remain AO in many cases, so that we have already discussed. So this is all. I would now request people to ask the questions they want to share. I'll just.
All right, Gauri, that was quite an insightful session. You covered everything that is on the public domain on faceless assessment, right from the tweets made by various ministers to all the documents that have been uploaded on the government websites. We are now starting to take questions. In case anybody has any question on faceless assessment, you can type and send your question in the chat box below. If anybody wants to turn on their video camera, you can straight away ask your question to Gauri.
So,
Okay.
Vaishali, I can see a few questions here. Someone has asked, is faceless assessment is for all or only for certain section like individual? No, the answer is it is for everybody now. There is no concept of manual assessments. It is for everybody. Someone has asked what type of documents can be asked for. So now documents means whatever you were already submitting to the department while personal hearing, all your books of accounts, your documentation, your supportings, your financials, balance sheet, bank statement, any sort of document you were already submitting while your assessments were going on, the same documents will be asked for, but they will be all online and digitally signed. Tips to improve drafting ability. So for this, I think CA Club India has quite a few courses which you can just check out, and they can help you in that. And of course, CA Club India also has some full-time courses going on for faceless assessment also. I would request you all who is interested, go for that course. Because this will really help you now. Everything will be online, everything will be faceless, so you really need this course. How to differentiate between fake notice and genuine notice? As I told you, a fake notice is the notice which has manual signatures and the DIN number is not there. So you really need to see the DIN number, document identification number, and that manual signature should not be there. It should be digitally signed. These are the two things which are necessary to see that the document is fake or not. And if the document is fake, if the notice is fake, there is no need to reply. Now, another thing is that because of all these frauds are also going on. So this will avoid frauds also. With the awareness in the system, awareness in the SSCs and CAs, the fraudsters will now take a backseat. They won't be able to do the fraud. So
we have our next question from Vinod, and he's asking that what is the effective year for the faceless assessment scheme?
It has already started now. Whatever notice, because see, faceless assessment has started from 13th August. Faceless appeal will start from 25th September. So from that particular day, all these notices will be based on faceless assessment.
Okay, so we have another question from Kausar Kazi, and he's asking whether DIN will be attached on all communications made, including assessment order.
Yes, of course, all communications. So you have to check all communications, including the assessment order, definitely.
Okay, so our next question is from Kaladhara, and he's asking whether ITAT appeal proceedings too will be faceless.
See, right now, I don't think so. But with the speed we are moving on, with the speed, the faceless system has been rolled out. With the faceless appeal has been rolled out. I think ITAT appeal will be soon made faceless too.
Okay, so Gauri, like you said that this scheme has already come into effect. So in regard to that context only, Deepika wants to ask, what about the ongoing assessments?
See, I am really not very sure what will happen with the ongoing assessments. As far as I believe, the ongoing assessments will be done the way they are going on, until and unless the department issues any clarification on this.
Okay, so our next question is from Rakesh Jha, and he's asking, please confirm if in the GST Act, LCT and WET are included in faceless assessment.
I didn't get the question, sorry.
Rakesh, could you please elaborate more on your question? Till then, we have a question from Abhay, and he's asking, what about remand cases under income tax after faces assessment?
Again, I think Abhay needs to elaborate a bit. I am not able to understand what exactly what he wants to ask. I'm really sorry about that, Abhay. Please elaborate a bit.
Guys, you can also turn on your video camera if required. So our next question is from Shashank, and he's asking, electronic submission of security notice was already there, but we have came across situation where AO does not understand whether assessee is of the same state. Till now, we had option to opt for manual proceedings, but with commencement of faces scrutiny, this problem will arise. So what to do in such a case?
Did you understand the question, Vishali? Can you just repeat it?
Yeah, sure. He's asking, electronic submission of security notice was already there, but we have come across a situation where AO does not understand whether assessee, I don't know, I guess he has committed a typo here, whether assessee what to state. Till now, we had an option to opt for manual proceedings, but with commencement of faceless scrutiny, this problem will continue and surely enhancing appeal cases.
Yes, of course. He's absolutely right. And this is what I was saying. There will be many problems faced by the SSCs because, you know, in personal hearing, you can share a lot of things. You can talk, you can communicate, even though your drafting skills are not very good, you can communicate well. But now this problem will be there for sure. Appeals will can increase, but, you know, in few cases where, you know, the genuine SSCs who are harassed without any reason, they will benefit from this. But the SSCs who are evading taxes, who had that intention in their mind, now they will have to change it. So for the SSCs who are genuine, who are honest, for them it is a very good decision, very good scheme. But for the ones who are evading taxes, for them it will be a trouble for sure.
Okay, Chaitanya, Abhay would like to elaborate his question. Could you please put him on unmute and allow him to turn his video on?
Abhay, right?
Yeah.
You are unmute only, but I can't hear you properly. Can you hear me? Your voice is really low.
My question is regarding the remanded case. Remand case means the cases transferred to the assessment office for rechecking.
Abhay, your voice is not audible. I can hear you saying something, but it's not audible.
It's related.
Okay, till then we'll take the next question. The question says, how to produce books during faceless assessment proceedings.
This is a very big challenge. So this is what I was saying, that you will have to, you know, scan the documents or send the tally backup or something like that will happen. So everything will be troublesome. So of course this is a very big challenge, I agree. But now, you know, with the technology is growing day by day, so maybe we might have some easier way as well, but we will have to wait and see how do we do that, because books of accounts are really very bulky.
Right. So Corey, we had also received various questions on Instagram. So one thing that most of the people wanted to know was that if with the introduction of faceless assessment, the demand for chartered accountants in India will be affected or not.
It will increase. To be very honest, it is you know, very good opportunity for all the chartered accountants out there who believe in knowledge rather than corruption. So all those professionals or the people who are not chartered accountants, who had no knowledge of law, who were just doing cases through licensing and everything, they will now take a back seat, as I mentioned earlier also. They will not be allowed. No one will approach them. People will now look for chartered accountants. Now, I think you can demand higher fees. You should know how to quote your fees. And now you can demand higher fees because you don't have, usually what CAs used to do, maybe I'm not sure I should say this or not, but they used to keep a margin in the payment made to the assessing officers. Not all, I'm not referring to all CAs, but maybe a few. And because of those few, others were also taken into the consideration. Now, so those chartered accountants will be out of the system, and the new chartered accountants, the young generation or the older generation who believes in knowledge, who believes in facts, and who believes in deciding the cases on the basis of merit, the demand for those CAs will drastically increase, and then you can say you can have a sort of monopoly there in the market, and you will get good cases, good clients, good revenue.
Okay. So we have another question from an Instagram user only. He wants to know, do the assessing officer knows whose case he's handling, or he has just a system generated code in front of him?
No, he will not know the name of the SSC. See, in faceless, I would still say that, the SSC knew the assessing officer, although the e-assessment thing was also rolled out in such a way that the SSC should not just know the assessing officer, but the SSCs are quite clever. They took out a way out, but now this will not happen. And even if you know the assessing officer, the main thing is that your case is not being decided by the single person. There will be so many units deciding your case, and under so many units, so many people will be there. So how many people will you contact? You cannot contact so many people. You can just contact one. So if you contact the assessment unit SSC, the review unit will not approve your case, or the National Assessment E-Center will not approve your case. So even if you know the assessing officer, one assessing officer, I don't think so that will be of any use to you.
Okay. So we have another question from Shashank, and Gauri, like you said that the taxpayer charter contains various rights for the taxpayers. So he wants to know that how the taxpayers can utilize the benefit of taxpayers charter in the current faceless assessment scenario.
See, this taxpayer charter has also included taxpayer cell. So if you face any kind of harassment from the department, if you believe that, like, for example, there's a point saying that we will believe the SSC until and unless they have a reason not to believe you. So if you feel that, you have given your point, you are genuine, you are honest, but the assessing officers or the national e-assessment centers they are not accepting your case. They are, without any reason, they are, not accepting your points. So you can approach the taxpayer cell and then you can register a complaint. So any sort of harassment done with you can approach the cell. And I was doing a live show somewhere else. I told the audience that, nowadays what I have seen is you can tweet also. When you tweet your problem, the department immediately takes up the problems and it has been solved. So my personal clients have done this. They have benefited from it. So if not taxpayer charter cell, you can use Twitter also.
Okay. So Abhay has sent his question. It's much more detailed now. He's asking, remand cases means any case transferred from CIT appeal or ITAT to assessing officer for re-verification. How will it be done under e-assessment or manual assessment?
See, right now, I think if the case has been remanded back, it will to the assessing officer, it will go into faceless because the manual intervention has been stopped completely. Now only a few the exceptions I gave you, though, so this is not covered in that exception. So this will be done faceless only.
Okay, so Gauri, we received a question in the very beginning of the session, which asked that if the scheme is applicable just for the individuals, or if it also includes companies, LLPs, and every other person who is included in the definition of a person in the Income Tax Act.
No, definitely, it is for everybody, not only for individuals, for everybody, for companies also, for LLPs also, for everybody.
All right. So guys, we'll be taking last two questions now. So Sarvana Kumar is asking, faceless assessment, is it applicable for last year appeal cases as well?
No. Only the new ones.
Okay. We have a question from Ishu. If after review, it is sent back to next assessment unit, then the whole process will follow again.
Yes, exactly. This is what I was saying, that for the assessing officers, it will create a lot of burden, because they will have to follow the same procedure. Maybe few steps will be avoided, like if they don't need any technical help, they will not approach the technical unit. But more or less, they will have to go through the whole case all over again.
Okay, so Ramesh is asking that how
Vishali, your voice.
it can be worked for large scale companies, because it is.
Vishali, I can't hear you.
Am I audible now?
Yeah, it's better now. Yes.
Okay, Ramesh is asking, how can the scheme be worked for large scale companies, because it is very cumbersome job?
It is definitely very cumbersome. That is very major concern, and I agree. I said in the presentation also. But now that they have rolled it out, I think that you should cooperate, because eventually we will get the hang of it, and it will benefit the SSCs more than it will benefit any other person. So I think you should cooperate and take that pain for a few cases, and later on you will just get the hang of it.
Okay, so Gauri, I'm taking the last question now.
Yeah.
It's from Prachi, and she's asking, what change do you think shall come when we have to conduct tax audits?
See, Prachi, this is exactly what I was saying, that now you have to be very, very, very careful, because now you cannot do licensing, you cannot get away from the case without presenting the facts, the law, and your case will be decided on merit now. So you have to be very careful while doing tax audit. Any and everything needs to be reported, and the responsibility on CAs will increase. That is why I am saying the knowledge of law, in-depth knowledge of law, is now very necessary.
Okay, so that's it. Thank you so much, Gauri, for joining us today for this lovely session. It was very, very insightful, and I hope everybody had some value addition from this session. Guys, we come up with webinars almost every week. We also have a WhatsApp group to keep you guys updated regarding our upcoming webinars. You can join us on WhatsApp or Telegram to receive daily updates regarding the webinars that we have on CA Club India. To follow Gauri on Twitter, we have already shared her profile in the description below. You can follow her on Twitter for all the industry related updates. And if you want to pursue a course on e-assessment, we have it on CCI Online Learning. You can check the demo video, which is for free. We also have a course on contract drafting if you guys are looking for the same. The link to both the courses have already been shared in the description below. Gauri, would you like to add anything to conclude the session?
That's it. It was a lovely session. Thank you all for joining in, and you can connect with me on
Thank
Twitter.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vishali. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Sure. Okay.